How's it going, jobbies? And in today's video, I'm going to give you 6 signs that you are overtraining. Overtraining is a bit of a funny subject because I think most people don't actually understand what it means to be overtrained and just think that after they string a few good weeks of training together and they maybe get a little bit tired or motivation dips a little bit, they just think, oh, that's me overtraining and I'm doing too much. And that's just not the case, because there are some pretty simple, tangible, binary things that you can actually use as measurements of if you're actually doing too much or you are just like generally a little bit tired. It's going to be very simple day-to-day things that you can measure and point to, and you know, if you have any of these symptoms, conditions, things happen to you. There's going to be nothing massively technical. We're not going to get into like heart rate variability and monitoring all this mad stuff with technology. It's just going to be, again, very simple, you know, markers within yourself that should be relatively easy to assess. Make sure you assess the like and subscribe buttons, and most importantly, make sure you press them, and you will get new videos every single Sunday. And if you want to really make sure you don't miss them, then feel free to turn on the bell, because I think that does algorithm things. So please feel free to do that. Don't forget, if you do want some direct help with your training, my coaching inquiry form is below. All you need to do is fill that out and I'll get in touch with you. And if you want to just cut that out and go direct to the source, hit me up on Instagram, which is also linked below. Send me a little direct message and then I can see how I can help you out. So overtraining, as I touched on at the start, isn't just like a feeling per se. And I know it's what I've maybe been guilty of slightly before, where you do feel like, you know, you're a bit tired and you're doing quite a lot of training and you're finding it difficult to recover, and you're maybe a little bit up and down sometimes, your motivation, and that's not overtraining. That's just part and parcel what every single person goes through with training. Overtraining, by my definition, is when there is actual decrease in your performance and a decrease in the output and the results that you're getting as a result of the training that you're doing. Because obviously when we train, we should always be doing what we're doing to make us better, and if the reverse of that happening, then there's a good chance that what you're doing is obviously pretty shit, but there's a chance you're maybe just doing a little bit too much of it and you do need to scale back. If you feel like you are pushing yourself really hard and you feel like your training program is pretty decent, but you're just not making the progress that you want, then there's a chance that you may be just doing too much and you need to pull back a little bit. Anyway, I'm going to give you some pretty solid things that you can look at to use as your judgment call if you are overtraining or not. So first of all, the absolute biggest one of them all, the biggest sign that you're overtraining is if you are not getting stronger, or more specifically, getting weaker. Always use your gym as your main indicator. It's pretty near impossible to continue to get stronger whilst overtraining, and obviously overtraining means you're overly fatiguing and you're under recovering. If you were doing that, then you wouldn't be able to actually improve and you would be regressing. So if you are feeling pretty tired, but you keep getting stronger, then you're not overtraining. It's as simple as that. So always just use the gym as your main indicator, and you should be doing that with a multitude of things across your training, but definitely to assess your training volume and intensity and if you're overtraining. So if you're getting weaker, there's a good chance you are overtraining. Number 2, and this is definitely one of my telltale signs that if I'm overtraining, and that's if I feel the need to go and binge on food. If you're feeling exhausted and you feel the urge, and more specifically actually go and actually do it and binge out on food, and specifically all like the wrong foods, your chocolate, sweets, crisps, fast food, all that type of thing, and that's just like what you're desperately wanting to eat and you're eating like an empty pit, in my experience, that is a sign that you're overtraining. The simplest way I can put it is because you're trying to just load up on all that crap food and all the sugar and fat. It's just to try and help compensate for the amount of fatigue that you've built up internally. Don't know how scientific that's going to come across, but hopefully you can kind of get the gist of what I'm saying. Like, you're not really like craving like chicken, broccoli and rice, are you, when you're like absolutely exhausted and all your energy stores are depleted, are you? You want all the quick, fast acting carbs, etc., just to replenish, essentially. Anyway, enough of descriptions that Stephen Hawking would be proud of, but yeah, that's just in my experience. When I get like really exhausted and at the point of overtraining, I'll have, you know, days, you know, quite regularly where I just want to just go and pig out and I just physically can't stop myself, and I feel exhausted before I eat and I still feel exhausted after I eat. And again, that's just my own personal feeling. Some of you might be able to relate to that, but if you do have these urges to go and binge out on crap, it's a good chance that you're overtraining. Number 3 is if you are feeling the need to have an increased amount of sleep, or you're struggling to operate on the normal amount of sleep that you do have, then that's another sign in my book that you're overtraining. I'll give you quite an easy example. Imagine a day where you have done like a hell of a lot and you have overtrained in that one day, in isolation. You tend to go away and come back home and you would sleep a shitload, and you might end up sleeping for like 10, 11, maybe some of you might even sleep for 12 hours a day. You're obviously doing that because your body needs the rest after like the really hard day that you've had. And if you just take that in the bigger picture then, and you know, just think about if you normally have say 8 hours of sleep a night, and every morning when you wake up after 8 hours of sleep, you're struggling to get up, you're dying to get back to sleep, and on the days where you don't have to get up at your normal time, you end up sleeping in longer and longer, then again, that's just a good sign that your body's now trying to just get some extra recovery because the workload it's doing at that moment in time is just too high. Use your sleep as a metric. If you're able to get by on your normal sleep with no problems, I think you're all good. But if that normal sleep ends up not really doing much to help you and you're desperately trying to get more and more and more, then there's a good chance you're overtraining. So we've covered your training, your nutrition, and your sleep, so the three main pillars. I'm going to move into the kind of a couple real world examples, and I would just say generally, if you feel like you're struggling to mentally focus just in general on your work, on your studies, on your programming for the gym, on just anything in general, then again, I would say that's probably another sign as well that you're overtraining. If you can't stay focused for any length of time and your brain's just away and it's just not switching on and you just don't feel that mentally sharp, then again, physical fatigue does manifest itself as mental fatigue as well, and vice versa. Don't know if I've used manifesting the right word there. It just occurs, I think it's probably just the better way to put it. So just your general daily focus on your tasks. If you feel like your brain's not working, then it could be because of a few reasons. It could be just general under recovery rather than overtraining, which is slightly different. It could be lack of sleep, etc. But if obviously you're a serious trainer and we're talking about in the context of overtraining and you're looking at a few of these other points that kind of tick your boxes, then there's a good chance that that lack of focus is actually attributed to your overtraining in the gym. So again, that's another way that you should hopefully be easily able to kind of pinpoint that just in your daily life. Number 5, and this is definitely the worst one out of the lot. If you are not as horny as you normally are, then that's a sign that you're overtraining. Yes, you did hear that right. If you are not as horny, and it doesn't necessarily mean for the horniest guy in the world or the least horny guy in the world, and you only get horny sometimes, but if you just feel like you have absolutely no sexual drive at all and you're just not getting turned on when you see all the big massive titties on Instagram or walking about the street or in the gym or wherever, then there's a good chance that that is because you're overtraining. Your sex drive is obviously linked to your testosterone, which is linked to your physical capabilities built through training. That's some fucking link there. And aye, just as simple as that. If you just feel like you don't want any sexy time and you're not getting a stoner, then you know that is a good sign that you're overtraining as well, and you maybe need to dial things back a bit till you can get yourself ready and want to start getting people to ride Space Mountain again. And last, and it is least, and that's why I've left it till last, and obviously I've kind of already mentioned it up till now, and I'm just going to, you know, touch on your general feeling, because there is a difference in just feeling a little bit tired and sore just from your normal training and a bit unmotivated, and that's just part and parcel of training, and we all go through that. But that is just part and parcel, and there is a difference in that. And again, if all those things I've listed are still happening fine and you're still, you know, progressing in the gym, you're still horny, you're sleeping all right, etc., then, you know, that feeling that you're having isn't really worth worrying about, and it's just something you just kind of have to put up with. But if you have a few of those markers plus the feeling of, you know, just crap, lethargic, unmotivated, then, you know, couple them together and that could be a sign that you're overtraining. But try not just look at the feeling per se, because, you know, I could claim I'm overtraining like every second day sometimes, you know, if you just wake up and you're a bit tired and whatnot. So yeah, just try and not focus too much on the feeling, focus on those metrics that I give you there, and hopefully you should be able to build a decent enough picture to work out if and when you are overtraining. I'll leave the video there. That was a relatively painless recording for me for a change. So don't forget, all my cool stuff is in the description below. Coaching inquiry form, social media, link to the email list if you want to get a YouTube video in word form every week that tends to be something very loosely about training and just some sort of nonsense that's happened in my life. You can also get your free lean bulking guide, the abs to flabs, so that you don't make the mistakes that's going to lead you from having a lean physique to being a big fat bastard. That's all from me. Catch you in the next video.